What's good, everybody? Today we are going to be taking a look at the combat system of Neverness to Everness, which is coming out on the 29th of April. We're going to be taking a dive into the what the hell is an Esper system, what is an Esper cycle, how does this element system work, and how does combat look and feel in this game. Now, very quick disclaimer, this is currently the test version of Neverness to Everness, so launch may be slightly different, so bear that in mind. We're going to be going in to make sure you have a great basic understanding of what you'll be facing and up against once you go into Heathero and log in for the first time on the 29th of April. If you're here, make sure to subscribe. We'll be doing a lot of Neverness to Everness content, a lot of guides, a lot of things that are for you. So go ahead, click subscribe and click that bell, and let's get into it. Right off the bat, if you are someone who has played one of the, the bigger 3D open world gacha games that are out there, there will be a lot of systems that will seem familiar to you and maybe even comfortable upon first look. But here's the thing, right? Neverness to Everness does seem like it takes a lot of inspiration from all the it feels like a gacha baby of combat, for example. But I will say this, do not go into this game expecting it to play like a different kind of game, okay? NTE is definitely there to craft and create its own niche of combat, so bear that in mind. So we're going to go through everything. What is the element system, how does it work, and how does actual combat look and feel like? So how about we go into the actual element system of its game, because it does in fact use one. Let's go into formation, where I am able to show you the actual Esper attribute wheel right here, and we can get into this. So as you can see, we have a big Esper wheel here with a bunch of different attributes, and they go as follows. At the top, Cosmos, Anima, Incantation, Chaos, Psyche, and Lakshana. Very, very interesting. And as you can see right here, I have 3 of them that are lit up and linked, and that is because I have 3 different attributes right now on my team. I have the MC right here, which is Cosmos, which is pretty cool. We have Nanali and a G1, who are both Anima, and we have Sekiri, a nice little buffer, who is an Incantation character right here, which is why they are all lit up like this. And you might be wondering, why are they linked? What does this mean exactly? Well, Neverness to Everness does have an Esper attribute reaction system, which is known as Esper cycles, whereby if you are able to build up your character's Esper cycle and switch into a character of the adjacent Esper type, you can trigger an Esper cycle reaction that will have its own buff, its own properties. It does its own special thing. For example, I could be a Cosmos character that fills up my Esper cycle, and I cycle into an Anima right here, and then I will activate the Blossom reaction, okay? So I can have my MC, my Cosmos MC0, do his attacks, do his skill, go into Nanali right here, and we can activate Blossom, which, here we can see, generates 1 Lebensstamm near the target after triggering Esper cycle, which blossoms 5 Leben blooms. Leben blooms then fly towards the targets within range, exploding every 2 seconds and dealing damage to an area. Up to 3 Lebensstamms can exist on the field at once. Obviously, this right here, this mumbo jumbo, isn't particularly important to us right now. I'm just here to point out that every time you switch from one character to another that is in the adjacent Esper attribute type in the wheel, you will trigger and activate an Esper cycle that does have a unique reaction, and there is a bunch of them we can see right here. Like, we have Blossom, we have Hexed, which is Anima and Incantation Esper cycle, we have Charge, which is if you link 3 of them together, right? Charge. We have Scorch over here. We've got Discord going on, Remora, Stain, Nova. We have a lot of different Esper cycles, obviously. So this definitely matters massively when it comes to your team building. You 100% want to be making teams that incorporate each other's Esper cycles and reactions, because they do have a lot of big and insane effects that dramatically affect fights. But there is even more depth to this. It's not just the case of going from Cosmos into Anima and activating Blossom. Oh no, there is even more to these reactions. So we could see here, we have a cycle enhancement enhancement. This is a very interesting and cool thing about NTE. Every single character can have their own cycle enhancement, which is an extra support ability or an extra passive added on that can change the way the actual cycle, the Esper cycle, the reaction works slightly. For example, if you manage to trigger Blossom with Nunnally, it has a Blossom enhancement. Fires 10 Lemon Blooms with Lemon Storm, reducing the interval between each shot to 1 second. So it actually adds on to the reaction that's already happening. And it's very, very interesting. Like, I can show you right here, okay? Blossom enhancement. Fire 10 Lemon Blooms with Lemon Storm, reducing the interval between each shot to 1 second. Applies 1 follow-up attack. Blah, blah, blah. You don't need to know about this one. This isn't a Nunnally guide. This is not a guide. But you can see here, a lot of these characters have a support skill that actually changes how the reactions of the Esper cycles take place, which gives this game a whole lot more depth and gives you a lot more to think about when it comes to team building. For example, we have G1 here. Blossom enhancement spawns 1 additional Lemon Storm and increases the Lemon Storm limit on field to 6. We have Mint. Blossom enhancement expands Lemon Blue's damage area on hit. And I could click this button here and like go straight to unlocking it in her support skill right here. So there is just there's a lot to think about and to take into consideration when it comes to your actual team building. And I think this Esper cycle is going to be obviously a huge talking point when it comes to the launch of NTE. There's going to be a lot of theory crafting, a lot of people working out what the best cycles are, who you should be cycling into, all that sort of stuff. You know, that's definitely going to be happening. So how about we actually go and see how this performs in game itself? Now, this is where the fun starts, okay? This is absolutely where the fun starts. Now, you could see, you are probably familiar with UIs like this. You've seen them all the time in your gacha games, okay? Let's go through it really quickly so we can familiarize ourselves immediately before we go into a fight right here. Okay, we have our character right here in the middle of the screen, normal HUD. We've got our 4-person team over here. We've got the Cosmos MC, we've got Anima Nunnally, Anima G1, and the Incantation Sekiri there for our little buffs. We have a skill right here and an ult. At the bottom, we obviously have our HP and any interesting things that the characters might need above will go above the bar too. And to the left, we have what is called our cycle rate. And this fills up every time you do certain attacks, okay? Sometimes it could be your basics, it could be your skills, it could be parries. It will fill up your cycle rate. Now, let's go and show that off real quick. Now, we can see right here in the character abilities, there is a thing called cycle rate. Now, this determines how quickly doing this particular skill, right, a skill here, a basic attack, this particular ability will fill up your Esper cycle meter, right? Basic attack for Nunnally, for example, has a cycle rate of 33, while her skill has a cycle rate of 12. You have certain characters, for example, like the MC0, who has a cycle rate that fills up immediately as soon as you press his skill. So every character has a different cycle rate that they can use. So we can see right here, I can go to this boss, I can press E right away, I immediately fill up with my Esper cycle, and because he is a Cosmos character, I can then switch to an Esper cycle into either Anima character, which would be Nunnally, or it would be G1. I'm going to Esper cycle into Nunnally right here, and I'm going to trigger that Blossom reaction. There we go. I trigger the Blossom reaction, and now I'm doing my basics over here, and obviously as I'm doing that, I'm filling up her cycle rate, and now I can cycle into Sekiri, who is Incantation, right, on the adjacent side, or I could cycle back into the MC. So I'm going to cycle into Sekiri and do the same thing again. Big damage. And again, every character does a different amount of the cycle rate. Depending on the attack. Oh, I'm getting hit. I'm getting hit pretty bad here. Alright. Dodging everything because I'm a massive pro. Okay, so now there you go. Again, we've triggered it for the Esper cycle. I'm gonna ult the Sekiri, get that lovely damage buff right here, and go back into Nunnally. So now we could do some big mega damage. Use her ult. And here we go. Big damage for the girl. Now let's get into the basics of some of the characters' kits. Everyone has the traditional, their basic attack combo sequence like this, a Riza Sakiri. Like that, it's a big bonk right here. We have a skill, Big Bang Bosh, and we have a ultimate on our Q. Obviously, I don't have that queued up with anyone right now, but we have the good old skill, ultimate, and Q. Right there, skill with the MC that everyone is able to do. And we also, everyone, of course, has a plunge ability. Okay, everyone has that too. Now, some characters may have a little bit more to their kit. For example, Nunnally, I could do a charge attack right here. I can hold right there. Obviously, the MC doesn't have a charge attack. He will just do his basic attack number 1 string like this. But Sakiri is someone who does have a charge attack. If I charge attack with Sakiri, if I hold, we get a vacuum. Da-da-da-da. This little boy right here will suck up enemies and be able to hold on to them. And this allows for some kind of like grouping a little bit as well. But you could suck up and disrupt an enemy. And then we have G1 here as well, which works a bit differently. I could use her skills to get up some charges of little flowers right there that you see. And then I could hold down to use them. Or I could press G right here to like aim, right? So everyone works a little bit differently in this game. And we'll probably be going through every single character and giving a breakdown of how exactly their kits work. So if you're curious for that, make sure to subscribe and we'll go through some very casual friendly starter guides for all of these characters. And let's have a look at how fights actually function inside of the game in a bit more detail. So I can see right here, I've caught the attention of some enemies. So I have a dodge. And if I immediately attack after a dodge, we could do like a critical dodge or a post. Just like that, right? Doing a critical. Now, over here, let's wait till we get a parry up. You'll be able to see the parries. They'll appear as like a red circle that we can see. Right there. And I could parry with a swap. And if we parry with a skill, it will instantly fill up our cycle rate. And we are able to swap again like that. So there are a lot of ways of getting up that cycle rate very, very easily. We can see here, obviously, we have a Esper effect right here. So combat could be very, very fast, and you are massively incentivized to utilize your parries and your dodges to deal a lot of damage. Okay, if you're finding that the cycle rate and cycling between is a little bit slow, it's because you need to be doing more parries and dodges in your attacks. It's not something to ignore or maybe like just hit away. No, you want to make sure you're using your skills on your parries. Neverness to Everness is a game that seems to have a lot of interesting features that will appeal to you if you are someone that's very familiar with these types of gacha games and is able to add a new layer on top of them already. And we're going to be going into more detail with all of these systems massively. So if you like that kind of content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all. This was just a quick guide into everything. I appreciate y'all. See you on the next one. Stay silly. Peace.